Hey y'all, welcome back to Poplar Creek Farm. As promised, I am going to talk today as part of my Hobby Farm to Business series, kind of updating you guys on how farmers markets have been going this year. So overall, I'm very happy with how my farmers markets have been going. I did not have any baseline expectation because I didn't want to set an expectation of what I was going to sell, how much I was going to sell, how much I was going to make. I wanted to obviously attempt to be profitable, but I also knew that my first year, with all the stuff you have to put into it initially, it's not necessarily going to be profitable the first year. And if I looked at overall spending versus what you're actually making, am I probably profitable yet? No. But am I doing okay? Yeah. And I'm happy with that. So I go to 3 different markets, and they are very different markets. The locations are different. The people you see there are different. What people are looking for at each market is a little bit different. And so it's really cool to see, and it's really cool to learn what does better at each market and what to kind of expand on at each market. So Saturday, I am at the Oneida County Public Market in Bag Square in Utica, and that is primarily a produce market. That is what I have noticed, produce and honey. My meat does pretty well there as well, but I would say produce, whenever I do bring it, it does really well, as does my honey. My honey does very well there. The thing that I struggle with is that it's a morning market, so getting produce ready for the day can be a little bit difficult. In the future, it may be something that it may be worthwhile to invest in a refrigerator that I can specifically harvest produce the day before and put it in for the market, because you do want to keep your produce fresh for selling that day. You want it to look the best and taste the best, so that people not only buy it that day but come back for more. So overall, I do probably the best at that market. That's probably my biggest overall market. The most I've made throughout the year has been at that market. It's also Saturday, so I think that helps bring people out versus weekday markets when people are working and have busy schedules. So the other markets are Monday, I go to the Whitesboro market. Overall, I do okay there. I do pretty well. Not spectacular, but it's been okay. I have had a lot of returning customers there though, which is really nice. Returning customers for chicken, and honey, things like that. Soap as well is one thing that sells there pretty well. My uncle gets a lot of custom woodworking orders there. Cat hair on my nose now. And that one's really good. So he gets a lot of orders for the next week, which is cool. That one's pretty good. Overall, I enjoy doing that market. It is the longest of the markets. So sometimes that can be a little difficult. And I do feel like a lot of people come there for the food truck stuff more than the farmers market vendors, which is a little bit difficult. So I'm trying to figure out what can draw people into my booth to buy things while they're there picking up their dinner, something like that. Tuesday markets is the New Hartford market. Overall, that has probably been my worst in regards to sales. I absolutely love the market. I love the vendors there. I love the organizers. My kids have a playground that they play on there, and it's super nice and convenient in that sense, but it is kind of out of sight, so I feel like we don't get a whole lot of foot traffic. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle this year, is to make that market worthwhile. I'm also in between on both sides of me. I have 2 larger produce vendors. So for me, bringing my small produce is kind of difficult, because people they look for variety. They want to go somewhere where they can get multiple things at once instead of having to stop at multiple different stands. So oftentimes people will just bypass my tomatoes and go to one of the bigger tomato sales, which I understand. I'm just learning that that may be the market that I don't bring produce to. It's normally the market I can most easily get produce ready for because it's the latest one in the day, and so I typically have plenty of time. But also, weather has been a big factor at that one. Obviously, we've had a really rainy summer here in New York, and so we've gotten rained out quite a few times there. Other markets as well where it's been drizzly. Obviously, people just don't come out in those, and that's been really difficult. So I think if we had a little bit nicer summer, first of all, my garden would have done better, and I would have had more produce selection and better quality produce. But it would have also just brought more people out to the markets, which I can't control the weather. I can't control that at all. So it's one of those things we just have to factor in is if it's a rainy summer, it's going to be a lesser summer in the way of markets. We're going to make less. So overall, the things that I feel like I need to expand on or that I notice people ask for is different variations of honey. So creamed honey, comb honey. Comb honey is what I'm asked for all the time. And those things I definitely hope to have next year. The chickens, a lot of people are looking for breasts specifically, or legs, or, pieced meat. That is something I am not going to get into. Not that I don't think I could sell it, because I do, but the extra time and effort putting it into the meat isn't going to be worth it, in my opinion, because I already put a lot of time and effort into my chickens. And so to add one more step like that, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be able to charge enough for it to be worthwhile in, the time that I'm putting into it. But hopefully in the future, when we have pigs, the pork will sell better because there's more selection. Somebody's coming and they want something that they can easily cook up for dinner the next night. Most people think of a whole chicken as like a special occasion or like a Sunday meal, not like an everyday, cook for dinner. I mean, they do take a little bit longer than, cooking pork chops on the grill. So I understand that. So hopefully that'll pick up the meat sales quite a bit, and we may back off on the chickens at that point. So we'll see. Overall, though, I would say my average for the week, so with 3 markets, average sales are probably between 100 and 200. So for 3 markets, it's not spectacular. There are weeks that I do a lot better than that. There's weeks that I make double that. But overall average, that's probably where I'm at, because I've had weeks where I've made less than 100, even at 3 markets. Those were weeks that I went to 2 markets that we got rained out of 1 market. So we have those weeks. We have weeks where we just don't make much, and we have weeks where we do really well. Is it worth it? I think so. I think it's still going to be worth it, and I think it's still something that we will continue in the future. Well, I know we will continue at least for another year. I don't think you can do it in 1 year and kind of have base your business off of that, your business success, because your business is not going to necessarily be successful in 1 year. So I know it's going to take some time, and we are going to grow, and we're going to start going to some craft fairs as well. Next weekend, we're actually going to the Madison County Craft Fair in Oneida, and I'm very excited about that. So things like that, we are going to grow in other ways and do other things as well. But the farmers markets, I love the settings. I love the people. I love getting to interact and educate people, and just showcase our local, produce and what we can do on our small farm. So here is what our market looked like today at the Oneida County Market. That's actually what our stands look like most of the time. We just move things slightly depending on which market we're at. And we do get quite a few compliments on the way our booth looks. On the honey stand specifically, that's the biggest one that we get compliments on, just how much it draws you in. And so we need to work on more things like that to draw people in to our booth, because we do get walked past quite a bit still. So we need to draw more people in and get more people looking at our stuff, because once people do look, they typically buy. So I will keep you guys updated when we are all done with the weekday markets. The Saturday market actually goes through the winter. It'll become every other Saturday after October. But once we finish the other markets, I will try to do kind of more of a tally of how I've done over the season and give you guys a better idea of how I actually did this year. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Remember, we're growing today for a better tomorrow. Please like and subscribe and join me on the next one.